Hello, welcome to the 27 December online meeting of the Natural Rights Sangha. And excuse me as I put my phone on airplane mode so we do not get blasted by this ridiculous thing while I am with you. Usually I do that before. But I hope you had a happy holiday time this week and that it continues through the New Year's week coming up. Or if you're watching this after, I hope it was good for you way back when, whenever it is. I would like to start with a meditation, as we usually do. Please set your timers for however many minutes you'd like to meditate, and we will, as usual, sit straight, breathe through our nose, letting thoughts go. So let's begin. And when the timer goes off, restart this and we'll continue. Oh, welcome back. Today we're going to do more sayings or teachings from Ramana Maharshi. Again, these are going to come from the book or booklet, Thus Spake Ramana, which is available from Sri Ramana Ashram in India. It's a compilation of writings from various places, and it's excellent. And we're going to start off with a parable. 10 ignorant men forded a stream and on reaching the other shore counted themselves and found only 9. They grew anxious and grieved at the loss of the 10th person. A wayfarer, ascertaining the cause of their grief, found that each had left himself out in the count, so he gave each one a blow and asked them to count. They counted 10 and were satisfied. The 10th man was not got to know. He was all along there and only ignorance had caused their grief. Similarly, also with an individual being and the self, the big self, there is nothing to be gained anew. The self is ever here and now because the limitations have been wrongly assumed. There is the need to transcend them. Moreover, if there were anything to be gained anew, it would imply its previous absence. What was absent once may vanish again also, in which case there would be no permanence in salvation. The parable of the 10 who count 9 is used in many traditions and is often heard. So moving from the parable to number 29 in the booklet. Even the statement that duality is real, so long as one is striving to win the goal. But that is the goal. There is no duality, is not at all correct. Who else was it but the 10th man in the parable, both when he himself was anxiously seeking the 10th man as one that was missing, and when he had found himself to be the missing 10th man? So the duality, this plane, this Maya, this samsara, this Leela, is no more real than the missing 10th man was real. Going on to the next one, which is out of order in how we're looking at it, but number 21. And by the way, there's other ways to explain what I just did. That's what I was thinking about, but I'll let it go for now. If you'd like to hear more about it, please do ask to Mark at naturalrightsangha.org. As always, questions, critiques, comments, always appreciated. So number 21, if I am eternal and perfect, why am I ignorant? Answer, who is ignorant? The real self does not complain of ignorance. It is the ego, the sense of self in this body, that so complains. It is that which also asks questions. The self does not ask any question. And this ego is neither the body nor the real self, but something arising between the two. In sleep, there was no ego. And you had no sense of imperfection or ignorance then. Thus, the ego, the small I, is itself imperfection and ignorance. If you seek the truth of the ego and thus find the real self, you will find that there is no ignorance. Now, Ramana, of course, lived the last 60 or so, 55 years of his life or so in Tiruvannamalai, and that's what this next part's referring to. So, number 28. You dream in your sleep while lying in bed in Tiruvannamalai and find yourself in another town. The same is real to you. Your body is here and you are on your bed in a room. Can a town enter your room, or could you have left this place and gone elsewhere, leaving the body here? Both are not possible. Therefore, your being here and seeing another town are both unreal. They appear real to the mind. The I of the dream has vanished. Another I speaks of the dream. This I was not in the dream. Both the I's are unreal. There is the substratum of the mind which continues all along, giving rise to so many scenes. With every thought rises the I, and with its disappearance, that I disappears too. So the I's are born and die every moment. The subsisting mind is the real trouble. This is the thief, according to Janaka. And Janaka is the king, who the sage Ashtavakra was so helpful to, and who helped to enlightenment, to realization in the Ashtavakra Gita, which is a highly recommended book. And if you haven't heard me recommend it before, Ashtavakra Gita is one of the best, absolutely. Now, regarding dreams, it's interesting this one came up today because this morning I woke up and I went back to sleep for an hour or so. Longer than I normally sleep. But, it's holiday season, right? So, and I was experienced dreams. And in these dreams, a lot of strange stuff was happening, which is not unusual. But I was able to realize I was in a dream while I was dreaming. A couple of the dreams happened in a few scenes. And in one of them, I was on a ship with one of my brothers. And this is a brother I don't really see very often. And he's certainly not a sailor, but in this dream, He was sort of the pilot of this sailing ship. And there were only two of us on the ship, which is pretty spooky for me. Uh, but it was a dream. And I looked ahead, I looked over the bow, and I could see islands ahead. And it looked like a narrow passage, or we had to go hard to port and to get around them. And it looked like, wow. And I called out, hey, Phil, we're coming up on some islands. And he wasn't in the pilot house. He was in the kitchen or the galley, he'd called on a ship, eating something. And I'm going, Phil, the ship, and he says, and then the dream shifted to something else. And it shifted to this thing where I was in a hurry to get something done at a job, and I had to get somewhere at a certain time, at a certain blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting there kind of stressing, like, God, is traffic going to let me get there? Am I going to do da, da, da? And then, even though I was in the dream, I kind of realized, well, wait. Well, I'm dreaming. And what does it matter if I'm there on time or not? I just relax and I'll get there. When I get there, I'll get there as soon as I can, reasonably, without killing anybody or getting a ticket. Well, what's the hell? Do what you can. And then all of a sudden, I was back on the sailing ship with my brother. And I looked and I went, oh crap, these islands are close, and they had ugly, huge waves on rocky coasts, and we're getting way too close and haven't started to change course yet. And I shout to him again. And this time, I said, Phil, we're getting close to the islands, get out here, and he came out and started to, move towards the pilot's house like he was actually going to do something. And I realized that, this is just a dream. It's all okay no matter what. And then I woke up. And a thought came to me, and it was that to a sage, to Ramana Maharshi, or to Gaudapada, or to Shankara, or to a real sage, both the dreaming world while asleep and the waking world while awake are both equally real. And being they're equally real, what's to worry about? The way I was about the ship and about the job in the dream is the way a sage is about everything, whether dreaming in his or her sleep or awake. And I thought, that's it. That's it. That's why a true sage is not seriously stressed by very much, isn't worried, is pretty mellow. They're feeling that shanti, that peace, that ananda, that blessed peace, that divine peace that surpasses all understanding. Because they realize that this world is a dream, and so is the dreaming world. I called up two people and mentioned this dream today, both of whom are respected spiritual folks who I have the highest respect for. And I've mentioned them before. Robert Wolf is one of them, and my friend Ted out in the forest. And they listened to my tale of my dreams, and they both, over the phone, I could sense them nodding. And they both said, yeah, you're right. That's how it is for sages. Yeah. Oh well, moving onward here with the things from Ramana Maharshi. This next one, okay, let's just listen. We'll try to get through it. It's harder. Okay. Without uttering the word I, as in the egoic I, the mind-body I, without uttering the word I, to quest with the mind turned inward as to whence the little I arises, is alone the inquiry leading to self-knowledge. Ramana always said that was his main teaching. Silence and this were his main teaching. He gave 8 or 9 others, at least, that we know of, but this was his main teaching. Find out, who am I? You do that, you got it. Now, here he goes on to say, other than asking, who am I? Asking whence the I arises, can the contemplation that goes, this I am not, that I am, be by itself the inquiry? Though it may be an aid thereto? So he actually asks a question. How about this I am not, that I am? Is that another way to move on that path? And he seems to answer that, yeah, it helps. It definitely helps. To take that a step farther, the teacher of Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj has a wonderful book called The Master Key to Self-Realization. And in this book, he detailed how people in his lineage used to teach their students, or maybe still do. And he would take them through a process, or they would be taken through a process of being told, you are this, examine this. And then after a month or two, the student would come back and say, Master, I don't think I am just the body. I think there's, oh, you're right. Good. You know the truth now. Now you are the mind. Go check this out. And then they'd go out and they'd meditate on that or contemplate that. And they come back and they say, I don't think we're just the mind either, sir. And he'd go, oh, good. And then he'd take them to the next step and the next step. Well, here he's hinting at the same thing. Anything that moves you along is not wrong. It's not bad. Nothing's really wrong or bad in that way. The quickest for him was just to be in silence and look into who the I is. Who am I? What is this I thought? But other ways help too, and that's one. Well, I know I'm not this, so this goes back in a way to Naham, Soham, Koham, the mantra we mentioned previously. Yeah, and it goes Deham, Naham, Koham, Soham, technically, but I always just went Naham, Soham, Koham. That's how I learned it. And it says, am I the body? No, you're not the body. What am I? I am consciousness. Consciousness with the big C, the self, the all that is. Brahman, Atman. Naham, Kaham, Soham. The last one we're going to talk about today is mentions the heart. Now, Ramana Maharshi often talked about the heart, and he didn't mean just the physical heart. He talked about the center of the so-called being within the body being centered in here in some way, that you could feel this energy here. Now, is that a real thing? Well, yes and no. It's real in Maya. It's a way of working towards the ultimate truth. And he says, questioning, who am I within one's mind? When one reaches the heart, the individual I sinks crestfallen. The egoic I go, oh. And at once, reality manifests itself spontaneously as I. Ramana sometimes wrote I to mean the true I, the self, and one I to mean the egoic I. Though it reveals itself thus, it is not the ego I, but the perfect being, the absolute self. So by questioning who am I within one mind and going deeper, one reaches the true heart. And when that happens fully, the individual I sinks crestfallen. and at once reality manifests itself as the perfect being, the absolute self. So tonight, let's finish, or today, or this morning, whenever it is, let's finish with our usual four immeasurables. And let's start with we, please. So start with yourself and whoever else you'd like to include. So one of the persons that you're including, please picture yourself looking into their eyes as you do this. And then please repeat. May we have happiness and the causes of happiness. May we be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May we never be separate from the happiness that is free of sorrow. May we reside in equanimity, free of attachment and aversion. So next, let's move to all. All. All people, all beings, all sentient beings, all life forms, everything, all. And let's do the four immeasurables for all. May all have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all never be separate from the happiness that is free of sorrow. May all reside in equanimity, free of attachment and aversion. Have a great week. I hope that as New Year's come, it's excellent for you. May 2021 be a better world year than it was this last one. Most people apprise this last one as being one of the hardest, and may it be better for all. Blessings, best of fortune, and keeping to the precepts without kicking yourself if something messes up. And